think we'll probably, just in the interest of time, move over to the roundtable. And Sandro, if you don't mind sticking with us, that'd be great. And then we'll see a few other PMs join here as well. And if folks have other questions around Data Mapper, feel free to add them in chat, and Sandra will take a look at those. But I think generally we should be caught up on that front. There was one comment, quite impressed with aggregator mapping pattern. We'll definitely try that. So yeah, good job, Sandra.
Yeah.
I was on mute. So Alex, all yours if you wanted to moderate the questions. And Divya, if you're online and wanted to join, just open your camera. I'll add you to the stream as well.
All right. Great, thank you. So we've got a couple questions that are submitted, and of course, feel free to either submit them to the Poll Everywhere link that we have, or put them in the chat, and we'll kind of get to them. But for now, we're just going to go through our top ranked questions for the Ask Me Anything that we put out. So one of the top ones is Data Mapper deployable? We couldn't make it deploy, always complains of missing assemblies. I know, Sandra, you just gave your whole talk about Data Mapper, but Ken, I know you and I also could take that one, but this is question number one.
Is Data Mapper deployable?
Yes, the question was, is Data Mapper deployable?
So I suspect what it is what Sandro did show there. Like in the host.json file, you do need to enable the multi-language worker, and the runtime needs to be .NET isolated. So we do have that called out as a prerequisite in the blog post on Tech Community. We can try to dig that up here. But I suspect I can use those settings in VS Code, and really what you're doing is you're generating an XSLT file as you build and test and save your map, and then from there what there is a Data Mapper action, built-in action, that you then go ahead and use to select the XSLT file that you've previously generated. But I do feel it's probably related to those prerequisites.
But also,
I'll
when
go
you
ahead and
deploy
find
the
that
solution,
link and paste it into chat.
Well, when you deploy the solution, also going to deploy all the artifacts on the folder. So it's going to deploy all the XSLT behind the scenes that you can use in your container of the Logic App standard.
We've got another question related to Data Mapper that's kind of on our top ranks as well. It says, one topic to discuss could be something on transforming payloads. Microsoft pushed Liquid templates a few years ago. Now we get the Data Mapper and are encouraged to go to Logic App standard for enterprise scenarios. Will Liquid transformation still have a place in enterprise integration scenarios?
You want to respond to that, or should I?
I don't know. I can't speak very well on any sort of liquid transformation, so I'll give that one to you guys.
So I can start saying that I didn't say that on the session, but this Data Mapper, it transforms messages from XML to JSON, XML to XML, JSON to JSON. So it supports all the kind of formats that you need. Does it going to replace Liquid template? Probably not. So depending on the scenarios, you can use the data transformation, or you can use Liquid templates. The thing is that this Data Mapper out of the box is support with the Logic App standard, and you don't need nothing to contain the Liquid transformation like integration account or something like that. You can use the Data Mapper itself. And it's going probably to be more readable and better to maintain than the Liquid language.
Yeah, I could provide some more sort of insights there as well. So I don't think there's any plans of removing Liquid at this point. I wouldn't anticipate a whole lot of investments in it though either. I think our goal is to have a unified experience around data mapping. And so that is like JSON, that's XML, and then in the future, CSV. And what we've done with the data mapper is we've got more of this unified approach and sort of this unified architecture to enable that. Obviously, like between XSLT and Liquid, there's some different like incompatibilities that exist. And by us standardizing on XSLT 3.0, we can have a consistent experience across JSON and XML so that your support is the same. And the other thing that we do is support like any to any, right? So XML to JSON, JSON to XML, etc. So having that compatibility is very important. So we do use a third-party library underneath the hood that sort of helps us enforce a lot of this or implement a lot of this compatibility. But that's one of the drivers why we're not using Liquid. But certainly if there's scenarios that for some reason you could do in Liquid, but you can't do in the data mapper, we definitely need to know about that. But we don't anticipate, many of those types of situations.
Mm-hmm. And the only other thing that I would add to add is you can create new things using the data mapper, but that doesn't mean that the legacy maps that you have, like I call it legacy just because it is anything that you created up to now, right? Those things are not going to disappear. You're not going to be forced to remap that just because you have the new data mapper. You're going to be doing that at your own time, and if it's have any benefits for your project.
Yep.
Yeah. So another kind of related question to data mapper and our top ones here. It says, thanks for the event, very interesting. And how do you see the transform XML versus the data mapper? Will the data mapper replace the transform XML over time?
So I think this is kind of similar situation in my mind. So the XML transform today, it does support XSLT 3.0. It also does support the XSLT plus .NET Framework support that we've enabled before. So if you're moving your BizTalk assets, right, that also is supported basically through like XSLT 1.1. So once again, like, I don't see that changing anytime soon, especially like data mapper is in public preview. We're working towards GA. So like there's nothing drastic going to happen here from that perspective. Our goal obviously is we want people using data mapper. We want you to use like that first class experience and to be able to have a graphical mapper where you can go ahead and do all of the things that you need to do. But on the flip side, like, yeah, there's no plans to remove or do anything drastic with the existing capabilities.
Yeah, it would be the same thing that we did. We talked about Liquid. All the existing investments is protected by using the XML transformation that you're probably already using today, with the added bonus to on those BizTalk migration scenarios, you having the ability to support everything, including code, while anything greenfield, I would suggest people starting to use data mapper.
Awesome. Now a question, one of our top ones not related to data mapper. We've got a question saying, my customer is considering migrating integrations from BizTalk to Azure. What advice do you have to do this?
Maybe I can start with roadmap and then we'll throw this over to Sandro, since I know this is part of your daily activity. So last year we did announce a roadmap to help address the gaps between BizTalk sort of use cases, BizTalk scenarios, and Azure Integration Services scenarios. And so part of that includes like support for that XSLT plus .NET Framework so that you can generally lift and shift your maps. Today, obviously, we had the big announcement about .NET Framework custom code. So if you've got assemblies that you are sort of calling and you've got logic, or transformations that are in code, we're supporting that. We've introduced, preview support for Swift. There's some other roadmap items going on right now just related to the rules engine and XML. And then also at Integrate, we just showed an early view of business process tracking, which is a successor for BAM. So as you can see, what we're trying to do is sort of address the capability and ensure that a customer can solve their requirements using AIS. It's not to say that the technology is going to be exactly one for one, but we want to be able to address the use case. Now, I know, Sandro, you just did a session at Integrate just a couple of weeks ago about this topic, so I'll hand it over to you, and you can probably provide some really practical advice.
Well, indeed, I did a session in Integrate. It was a 45-minute session about this topic, so I'm going to try to resume here. But, Beanstalk and Azure Integration Service, they are two different platforms. Behind the scenes, they do not work the same way, okay? Beanstalk is a product, a single one platform that has everything. Azure Integration Service is a bunch of service that you use to do enterprise integration, and you also have to combine that with other Azure service that are not kind of in the branch of Beanstalk, in the Azure Integration Service, like keybolts, log analytics, and so on and so forth. But the important thing is you have to do an assessment to your environment, or your Beanstalk environment. You have to understand what is there, how it was built, and then do some prioritize the deployment to Azure. Start with a small one, a simple one, and kind of go one by one. Do not try to do a big bang migration, because that will not work, okay? So choose one solution, a small solution, and start building that solution in Azure. And I mentioned start building because it's not migrating. Take this opportunity to kind of try to see if you can do the things different. How you can improve. Talk to the business. Can we do this in a different way? And because you have to do a little bit redesign. So if you need to do a redesign, nevertheless, take this opportunity to see if you can actually innovate your solutions. But before starting to migrate from Beanstalk to Azure, you have to set up the base, the foundations of your integration platform in Azure, and that means about all the rules, naming conventions. Are you going to use one subscription, multiple subscription? How are you going to divide the environments, kind of Q&A, production, pre-production, because that will happen nevertheless in Azure. Are you going to use resource groups, subscriptions? There is Azure Dev Test subscription that's going to spend less money because it's not a production subscription. Are you going to use that or not? And then you also to have to think about the monitoring and how you are going to track all from A to Z the flow of the message. Start building your foundations, and then afterwards start to migrate the small ones, because you will face errors, and that's the best opportunity to kind of improve all of this foundation to the big ones come and to migrate. So I think that these are the basics. Of course, I can spend hours about this.
Yeah, and I did put a link to sort of a blog post that contains many resources about this topic. There's the architecture guidance paper. We've done some interviews with some of the speakers here today. Sandro's one of them. Michael Stevenson is another one. Daniel Probert's another one. Stephen Thomas is another one. So we've got a lot of outside perspectives on this, or maybe not outside, independent perspectives on this. So go ahead and check out that link as well.
All right. Another question we've got here that was upvoted says, does Logic App support XML schema format?
Yep. So we saw that today in Sandro's demo. He was using XML schemas, XSDs. So yeah, we support XSD, which is XML. We support then JSON schema as well. And then in the future, CSV, but not quite yet.
Mm-hmm. And I think as the flip side of that, because I saw a whole lot of questions around this schema format in a way. Thought that they was asking if they had support for XML as first-class citizen, and we know that we don't have that support today, but it's something that is on our roadmap. So if you think that is important, it's a good point to add some feedback to that. I see there is a question from Luis on the comments, and I think I have one started from a long time ago that I'll bring after that. So the question from Luis is, are there any plans to integrate the data mapper, which is currently exclusive to Visual Studio Code, in the Azure portal?
So yeah, there is a roadmap item for that. So that is definitely something we want to do. No timelines to share on that at this point. We are focusing on VS Code first. So I would expect like a very sort of complete offering or more comprehensive offering there. And then once we've got that locked in, then we'll look at Portal. But yeah, Portal's definitely part of the strategy moving forward.
Mm-hmm. And on a similar note, there is something about the designer. There was one question from early on from Prijesh. Just one thing, standard logic apps on the new design in the portal, I'm not able to drag shapes or move to other places or to scope. Earlier in the old design, I was able to do, so it's something that that might need. I know that some of those things have been fixed, but not all of them. Sandro probably has also a lot of other experience on those ones. As far as I understand, those items are in our roadmap, or actually not on our roadmap, on our backlog, but we just don't have an ETA for that yet. But the ability to copy and paste and to use like the shortcuts is something that we had on our backlog as well. So with those ones out of the way, Alex, any other questions on the
Yeah.
AMA?
Yeah, we've got a couple others. One of them says, what are some easy authorization best practices and pitfalls in Logic Apps Standard?
Mm-hmm. So that is related to easy auth, Kent. I think you did some work on that one.
Yeah, so there is, okay, two things, I guess. One is like, so I do have a video on this, on how to actually implement this. It is a little cumbersome, we'll just be honest, because it requires you to call an API. But we are rolling out some newer features in the not so distant future, so over the course of a few months, that will help with this, that will allow you to sort of enable this in a more seamless manner. So I'll dig up that link, and at least it can get you started and using the API, and then yeah, do look for some first-class support in the not so distant future.
Mm-hmm. Another question from the audience here from Cameron is, are there any plans to support consumption logic apps in VS Code? So two parts for that question, probably. One, we have an extension on VS Code that supports logic apps consumption, but it's not a support that allow you to do design on VS Code and publish directly for that. This is also on our roadmap, but it's the focus right now is making sure that you make the end-to-end experience with Logic Apps Standard from VS Code all the way so from local development all the way to deployment more streamlined. So we're not going to be looking at that in the near future. Is something for later. And just in case, the link for the easy outlet here. Next question on the Ask Me Anything, because then we have another one coming back.
We've got another one that says, data mapper functions either don't work or lack of examples means difficult to learn right away using, and then I think it cuts off, but I think it's just marks or meaning it's difficult to learn like the right way to use them.
Well, I can do that. But yeah, it's a learning experience. Once I start using the data mapper, I was kind of difficult a little bit to understand how this interaction with all the function works. There is no documentation at all to explain all of these functions. Some of them you understand, like concatenate, it's quite simple. Some of them, well, I came from the Beanstalk background, so I know a little bit about this, but I can see that many people that are not experienced as the Beanstalk mapper, it is going to face a little bit some difficult in the starting point. But yeah, Microsoft is improving the documentation. Kent did awesome videos on his YouTube channel explaining a little bit, and all the experience about having the function and move the function are going to be improved. So it's going to be quite easier in the future to starting from zero on this new data mapper. And I know that Kent is working with more documentation. I'm going to start also producing some videos and small documentation about this. And I hope that will facilitate a little bit this experience.
Awesome.
And I know that we have another question that looks like it got asked in the chat. Wagner, if you want to put that one up.
Yes. So the next question on the chat is about the APIM connector. So when can we expect the APIM connector in standard logic apps? The good news, as Kenta replied on the chat, is it is available now. So you would be able to use the APIM connector as a built-in, right? And we wrote some blog posts to talk about that. And here is a link for the blog post.
Oh, that's actually a video, but yeah, same.
The video, yeah. We also have a blog post about that one. Sorry. So like too many sources, which is good.
Yeah, I also dropped a couple links just related to the data mapper patterns. So if there's particular scenarios you're interested in, let us know, and like we'll work on it, and we'll try to bribe Sandra with another T-shirt if he can build some of those too.
Both of us has beautiful T-shirts today.
We needed to find one for Alex now. All right, I think we are at time. So on my one is 1 minute to go. Do we have any other question that we can answer in 1 minute, or?
No, I think that's pretty much all of them.
That's perfect. So with that, I think it's for everyone that joined. Thank you for staying with us for 6 hours, 1 minute and 30 seconds. And I'll let Kent, Alex, and Sandra to give the last words.
So,
no, thank you. Go for it.
Sorry, my bad. I was going to say one ask I do have is if this has been useful for you, if you've enjoyed this, please just put a comment in the YouTube chat here. This helps sort of reinforce or validates our efforts and the need here, and we'd love to be able to show that up to our leadership. So any support you can provide us only helps us, give you more of this type of content. So that would be one ask I have. Another ask would be, try out the custom code. It's now available. The blog post is out, and then also, just look for our monthly newsletters. Look for our monthly meetups. Please help amplify the content and help grow the community.
And on that note, amplify and share the link for the sessions and everything, because the more views that we have, the better. So we can bring that kind of stuff later again.
And don't forget to use our hashtag too, #LogicAppsAviators, so that we can find all your appraisal and content.
Exactly. Sandro?
Well, thank you for inviting me here, and it was a pleasure to be here both on the roundtable as in the session. And as Kent mentioned, if you have any question about new data mapper, feel free to reach Kent or me. You have my email also. I can try to help as much as I can, and or any other question related with Logic App or integration in general. So with that, thank you.
Thanks, everyone,
Thank you,
and see you the next time.
Thank you.